But if you're someone who cares about their money and doesn't want to spend a whole lot, then this can definitely be something worth paying attention to. What's up everyone, it's your boy Jonathan here again, and today we're going to talk about how you can find your ideal country to study abroad. So let's get into it. Making this choice is definitely not an easy one, as this choice can have an impact on the upcoming semester, year or even degree. Since I have had my fair share of studying abroad, and I've had to make these choices twice before, I feel like I have at least some tips to share which can make your life a little bit easier and hopefully get you your ideal country in the end. So first things first, since there is some variety between studying somewhere for a semester or a year, not all of these rules might apply equally. For example, if you're currently studying at a school and you have the ability to actually study abroad with the Erasmus program, not all schools in every country are going to be an option. They're going to have to match your curriculum, they're going to have some kind of agreement with the Erasmus program, and those things are not always easy. When I wanted to go and study abroad, I had this map of Europe with all the schools I could go to. In total, if I remember correctly, these were like 8 to 10 countries, and in the end, not even all of them actually offered all my courses. As during my study, you had to pick some subtopics as well, which didn't always match those schools. So this can already limit your choices quite a lot. However, if you're going to study your whole degree abroad, this often gives you some more opportunities and some more countries to choose from. The first tip I would give is to actually research the available schools you have. Since it has to be compatible with your degree or your field of interest, this is definitely a key factor that you definitely need to put some time into, because you obviously don't want to learn stuff that you're not going to need in the end. But if you're going with the Erasmus program, which is often only a semester, you don't really have to worry about this too much, as most schools will actually fit this quite nicely. So think ahead about the topics that you really like. For example, if you're an ITer and you really like AI, then it can be really interesting to actually go to a school which offers you some kind of AI course. Of course, if you really want to go to a specific country, then you can always learn this in your free time still, right? Because after your degree, you will probably have to learn some more anyway. So it's definitely not the most important thing out there if you're only going for a year or a semester. But when you're reviewing this, make sure to make notes, use Excel or something, so you can keep track of which schools offer which topics, and you don't have to constantly go back to their websites. Doing this will actually result in a lot less available schools than you might think, which can make the school or country you want to go to even more easier to pick in the end. So depending on your situation and your duration of stay, make sure to put the right amount of effort into this. Another big factor to really keep in mind when making this decision is the actual cost of living there. Because of course, if you're someone who has all the money in the world, then this topic will not really be of much interest to you. But if you're someone who cares about their money and doesn't want to spend a whole lot, then this can definitely be something worth paying attention to, as some countries can be really expensive. If you're located in Europe, you can think about the northern countries. Countries like Finland, Sweden, Norway, these are all very expensive countries to live in. Things like food, drinks and activities can be a lot more expensive there, and definitely when you compare them to countries like Spain, Portugal, Romania, because those countries are often a lot cheaper. Another big expense to keep in mind is housing. Some schools have their own housing system, which can allow you to have very cheap accommodation if you compare it to getting something private. Getting roommates can also be a great cost saving, which I definitely recommend, but if you arrange something through the school, then this will most likely be a shared apartment anyway. And if you end up having to look for something private, make sure you go and search for something that is shared. This can be great for meeting people, as this will often be occupied by other Erasmus students as well. It can reduce your costs by a lot, and it allows you to do less chores, which is also nice. Definitely don't go over this topic lightly, as running out of money can really hurt your study abroad, as you want to be able to just go places, go travel, go out with friends without always having to worry about money, right? So definitely make sure to Google this and do your proper research. But just always think that there are always options, because if you're from Europe and you use the Erasmus program, chances that you will get a grant are actually quite big, and these can actually reduce the amount of money you have to pay yourself quite drastically, as these grants can often cover your housing costs and might even cost your travel expenses. And these grants also depend on the country you're going to, because if you're, for example, going to a more expensive country, then these grants will often be higher than, for example, some cheaper countries. So this is definitely something worth looking into. Definitely if you're going to use the Erasmus program. If your plan is to change continents, this might be a little bit different, and grants or scholarships are not always that easy to get, but there might be some options which you can always look into. Just make sure to ask your school and do your proper research. So to sum this up quickly, think about the housing costs, the price of living there, and the grants you might be able to get with certain programs. Another big factor to really think about is climate. If you're someone who really dislikes the winter, going to a northern country is not really going to be something for you. And on the contrary, if you're someone who really despises warm weather, going to the south of Europe, for example, will probably not be the best option either. And if you're someone who doesn't really care at all, then great, you can pretty much go anywhere. Even if you don't really like warm or cold weather, I do kind of recommend to go outside of your comfort zone. And I recommend it even more if you're only going for a semester or a year. Because since this is not permanently, going somewhere which might be a little bit less comfortable can be a really nice thing. It can even end up with you starting to appreciate the things that you didn't even like before. Thinking back about my experience, I wasn't particularly a big fan of cold, but once I lived in Finland for a couple of months, it was amazing. I just loved seeing snow everywhere, and I liked how much different it was than my actual home country. However, if you're gonna have to go somewhere for a whole degree, this is of course a little bit different, because being stuck there for 3, 4 or even 5 years, then the climate can be a big factor. But if you're only going for a semester or a year, definitely go somewhere that is challenging and where not many people might go. The next big topic to really think about is what the country or region actually has to offer. Because I'm assuming you don't really want to be stuck in the middle of nowhere for a whole year, right? So think in advance if you're going to a capital city, or if you're going to a more student city, or some kind of small city nobody knows about. Because if you're someone who really likes to party, for example, that small little town will not really be your best bet. But at the same time, if you're someone who doesn't like to party, going to a capital city might also not really be something for you. Of course, capital cities do have a lot of culture to give and everything is nice and close by, so I feel like most generally, capital cities are never really a bad choice. But if you're someone who really likes nature, for example, going somewhere that offers that, or at least easy access to places like that, will definitely be more in your interest. Another thing related to this is if your city or country actually allows easy access to other countries. Because if you're going to an island, for example, and you really want to travel to different countries, islands are not really the best option. So definitely think this through when making your choice. Because if you want to do it all, you want to go somewhere where you can party, shop, do things, travel. That's often not that easy. Of course, to every problem there are solutions. But going to a country which has a lot of neighboring countries which you've never been to before is definitely something nice and can make your future travel plans even easier. So if you're from Europe and you don't really mind going somewhere, I would definitely recommend you to go and visit the northeastern part of Europe. Think about Estonia, Latvia or Lithuania, or even Finland, as these countries are actually relatively close to each other, so going to one of them enables you to have easy access to the other ones. But at the same time, the southeastern part of Europe also offers this, with some better weather, I guess. But in the end, I believe every country can be a great experience, as long as you put in the effort to actually go out, meet people, and have the best time out there. Every country will be a great choice. And soon I will actually be making a video on how you can actually have the best experience out there, as I've made my fair share of mistakes and things I wish I would have done, and also some things I wish I wouldn't have done. So definitely stay posted for that one. So to quickly summarize everything, think about the climate you're going to, and my light just died. Think about the cost of living there, if it offers the right courses, and if there actually are plenty of things to do outside of your school. And if you keep those in mind, I'm sure you'll be able to make the best decision out there and make the best of it. So I hope this video was somewhat entertaining, and if you're interested in tech and travel, make sure to subscribe because we post at least twice a week, and I really hope to see you in the next one. Have a good one.